Okay, here's the second part of our free will question, or the statement. And it says, if life is predestined and we are just puppets playing along with no power or say to change anything, then this is absolutely and totally and incredibly disempowering. Okay, I'm thinking again how I'm going to answer this. Hold on. Having the decision to decide how we are going to react, respond, and behave is actually very empowering. So empowering. While making a decision based on expectancy, the noun, is quite disempowering. So let's first consider what a noun is. Okay, a noun is a thing. It is categorized as a person, place, or thing. It is an object. And making a decision based on expectancy places you into this category, making you a noun. And you are not a noun. Expectancy helps create disappointment. When making a decision based on expectancy and when it doesn't play out as we'd hoped or planned, then life seems very, very hard. We berate ourselves and others. We find scapegoats for what happened, and we pass blame. Life is hard enough without expectancy and without the should-haves and the would-haves and the could-haves, right? Part of our consciousness's decision to view life from this rare vantage point, you for you and me for me, is the ability to decide how we are going to behave in situations. The decision to view life in this three-dimensional form from this unique vantage point is a simple one. Either we are going to view it from this vantage point or not. And once the decision is made, then we move or we create a form of the principle of least action, meaning that the vantage point of observation will experience both sides to every choice and both sides to every situation. It will experience the end points of each of those branches. There are some examples that I wanted to talk about to show how making the decision of our actions is incredibly empowering. But before I talk about those, I did want to touch on, we've heard and have been told that we need to have a positive outlook, that we can't let things get us down. And so many people for the longest time put on this positive front. They didn't want to have any seeds of doubt. They didn't want to have any weakness because they wanted to be able to manifest the things that they desire, right? So we pushed away feelings of frustration and sadness and anger and fear, and we replaced them with our positive intentions. But that's not being true to yourself, right? Not allowing for authenticity. It is important that we have our emotions. They're there for a reason. All of them. All of them. Okay, on to our examples. In 1991, on July 10th, an 11-year-old girl headed out to the bus stop. And this was a decision to get to the bus on time. Okay? Now, on the way to the bus stop, a van pulled up. A man tasered her and threw her in and then took off. And for 18 years, this little girl was held captive. She had children by her abductor, and she somehow survived. She made a decision, whether it was subconscious or not, as to how she would handle the situation, how she reacted, responded, and behaved. This does not mean making the most of the situation. It means, how is she going to react, respond, and behave? Doing this enabled her body and brain emotional expression. Again, whether internally or externally expressed, the emotions were there for a reason. They are there for a reason. Emotions are a survival mechanism, and they're there for a reason. In the initial statement that we opened this with, a predestined life is totally disempowering, I would venture to say that J.C. Duggard's story is a stunning example of how the ability on having the choice on how we react, respond, and behave is incredibly empowering. Sorry, the doorbell rang. Okay, let's start. So there's other stories like this. There's stories of Katie Beers, Elizabeth Smart, and Kaylee Brown. And they found empowerment in the decision on how they are going to handle situations that were out of their control. If we want to look at another story, maybe not a kidnapper's story, that's Chloe Cole, whose body will never be the same again after she's gone through tremendous hormone treatments and breast removal as a child. The empowerment shown in how she is handling the situation speaks volumes. We do not decide, nor can we control the events in our lives. But what we do get to do, and what we do get, is the power to decide how we go about them. And that is empowering. And I think the last part of the question is, what is the point? The point is that our consciousness is curious. Our consciousness wants to observe how this vantage point goes about life on the third dimensional plane. It's curious as to the connections that we have with our environment, which includes the connections to each other. And every part of me, every molecule of my body and my heart is just blooming right now, wanting to say that, and I'm trying to put it into words, that this desire that our consciousness had to view life as us, whether we're a tree or a person or a bird or whatever it is, a whale, far exceeds any love that's out there. There's a train saying, yeah. That's a loud train. The point is, you are wanted, you are desired, and you are loved beyond any measure that we can even fathom. And you have the choice on how you are going to react, respond, and behave in a myriad of situations. And life is not easy. It's just not easy here on this third dimensional plane. But you've been given the gift on how you're going to handle it. Our life is whole, total, and complete. We are playing both sides of every situation, both sides of our choices. I actually might insert an idea into this video. And if I did, you'll see it obviously. And if I didn't, then I'm just thinking about a mechanic and having that as a choice. But anyway, before I get going onto that story or example, I think I want to end this here and just let you know how incredibly special you are, how unique you are, and that there is only one you, and there will only ever be one you. And to me, that is stunning. Right? Because if we have expectancy, we are now giving our power away, expecting everything else to work out as we planned, and then telling people that we have the ability to change all that. What we have the ability to do is to make a decision resolutely. All right, so we're in the ice cream shop. Well, let's move away from the ice cream shop. We use the ice cream shop all the time. We are in the auto mechanic. And the auto mechanic comes back and he says, okay, you've got all these things wrong with your car, and it's going to cost this much money. And we don't have this much money, but we have to make a decision, right? Are we going to figure out how to get this much money, maybe make payments on our car, whatever it is? Or are we going to drive away and push our luck and say, okay, potentially this will work out one way or another? So we have that decision. It's a hard decision. It's something we kind of need to do, but what are we looking at here? We're looking at how are we going to react, respond, and behave. So as we're making this decision, we're going to say, okay, if I can't get my car fixed, what does my life kind of look like? How am I going to handle not getting my car fixed? What are the things I can do? All right? Rather than saying, I can't get to work, I can't do these things, I can't do these things. You're going to turn that into, I can take the bus, I can potentially carpool, I'll figure it out. Okay? That's my decision. I'm going to decide that I'm going to be able to do this. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to be able to do this. On the other hand, if I drive away, I'm not ready to make payments on this car, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to drive it on the street. It could potentially poop out in the middle of my drive home. How am I going to handle that? How am I going to handle being pulled over on the side of the road? It's dangerous. If I get out, how am I going to get out of the car? Am I going to get out on the driver's side? Am I going to climb over and try to get out on the passenger side so it's a little bit easier? How am I going to get help? And then I'm going to decide, yes, I can handle that. I can deal with that. And then now I have a resolution on both sides. Okay, I have made this decision. So I can then say, I'm not ready to make payments. I'm taking my car. Or I can make the payments. All right, thank you very much. And here we go. That's what the power of how am I going to react, respond, and behave is. If I was to go off of expectancy, both sides of that are going to be very hard. I'm going to be very cynical. I'm going to be very mad, very upset, and my life is just going to feel a lot heavier. Okay, the situation isn't great, but I can make it lighter by taking responsibility of my actions. I can't control anything outside of that.